Welcome to PTSD, Bunker Gear for your brain. I'm your host, Carl Waggett. Welcome to the evening PTSD report. Guys, happy Friday to each and every one of you. Congratulations for getting through another week. Wait a minute, now that I think about it, congratulations. I think it's safe to say that we've made it through the holiday season. See, I give you all 2 thumbs up. That's fantastic. You know what? Only another 12 months and we get to do it all over again. Isn't life fantastic? I think it is. So guys, what have we been looking at? Well, guys, we've been kind of doing this 2-week special this week. And we're talking about these New Year's resolutions because I'm sorry I'm not giving up on them. I won't either. I think they're a wonderful platform to start something really, really big. But this week, what we took a look at, guys, was, well, the brain. Yes, and how it kind of operates. Now, please don't get me wrong. We're only scratching the surface. Yes, we are. We're not getting too in-depth. But what we did was we looked at what I like to call the golden 3 rule. Yeah. Look, if you can get a handle on these 3 concepts when it comes to your brain, you can seriously grab hold of the steering wheel of life and pretty much take it wherever you want, within reason, of course. So the first one thing we looked at was this whole... The brain will always move away from pain and move towards pleasure. You remember the Sigmund Freud guy? Yeah, with the cigar? Creepy bugger, always going on about your mom. Anyways, if you want to look him up, that's your business. But he came up with this whole moving from pain to pleasure. And you remember we kind of talked about in the last episode, if you want to have a little fun, think about the guys at work. Yeah, you know the ones that are always seeking the good time, always looking for the party. You want to know why they're always looking for that pleasure? Because they don't have any. Ooh, that was dirty pool. Hey, isn't psychology fun? But seriously, that's really what it is. When you're constantly seeking pleasure, well, you're telling your mind you don't have it. Yeah, really. It's kind of weird that way, but it really outs a lot of people. Now, maybe they do have pleasure in their life. I'm not saying I know their whole lives, but usually people that are constantly looking for a good time, they feel a lot of pain. You know, and that's just the way it works. You know, you take an individual who really doesn't have any pain in their life, but, you know, a substantial amount of pleasure, those are the ones you find sitting in the corner of the room, reading, drinking their herbal tea, because they don't need to go after the fast times, do they? They feel content. So that's why they don't feel a desire to push out all after the pleasures of life. I'll tell you, interesting concept. Now, the next one that we looked at, guys, was this whole pattern concept. Because, look, like I said, the brain's got one function, right? It's to keep you alive. Well, it's really kind of assessed that pain equals death. So one of the fastest ways to avoid pain in your life is, well, to put you in a pattern, right? Look, anybody out there in the fire service, you walk into a house fire, I guarantee you're going to smash your shins on a coffee table. Oh, stink does that hurt. Oh, it's terrible. When you're walking into a house and you're going to be a hero and you smash your shin right on the coffee table, dreadful. But I'll tell you what, it only happens once because your brain takes a picture of that room and puts you in a pattern. And guys, as we established, we do this in our day-to-day life all the time. And this is why patterns in our life are so important. Look, you got a kid that won't make their bed? Look, you can come up with all kinds of cute reasons why they need to make their bed in the morning. They have to do it because it's a fucking pattern. You got to learn how to do it. Once you learn how to have good patterns in your life, guys, I hate to say it, good patterns, good life. That's the way it works out. You got shitty patterns in your life. Yeah, that's right. Shitty life. It's always the way it works out. So, you know, with kids, so important to teach them good patterns right from the word go. Now, look, the last thing that we looked at was the brain will always live in the now. Always, okay? Like I said, we may daydream about the future, but the brain doesn't give a shit about the future. And the example that we used here was a whole working out example, right? Look, we all understand that if we work out in 3 months, our life is going to be better. There's no way around that. As long as you work out the right way, in 3 months, your flexibility will be better. More than likely, your diet will be better. You'll sleep better. All that stuff. We all know that. But why is it that we can't work out? Well, this just goes to show you how powerful a human brain is. Because the problem is the brain doesn't understand that benefit. All it feels is the pain when you're working out. And as soon as you feel that pain, it shuts you down. Guys, this is something that if you start to understand how your brain works in this particular way, this is where you can really start to use it against addiction. Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room here. Look, the biggest addiction that I've ever had was cigarettes. Oh my shit. Quitting those things, dreadful sensation. But I remember thinking the whole time, God, you know, if I feel like this all the time for the rest of my life, I'd rather smoke. Like, I feel like shit. I'm angry. I'm eating all the time. But what my brain didn't realize is, look, it's not always going to be like this. Right, it's like this right now. But the problem is your brain doesn't think about the future. And look, you talk to anybody who's quit smoking for a substantial amount of time. Okay, yeah, there's times you think about having a cigarette, but you certainly don't think about it every day. Right? But the problem is your mind can't do this. So if you can use this whole thing about working in the now against an addiction, guys, it will pay monstrous dividends. Okay, so guys, what are we looking at tonight's show? Oh, I'm excited about tonight's show. The reason why is, look, I don't care if you have PTSD, depression, anxiety or not. You have felt the subject that we're going to talk about tonight. And that subject is fear. Guys, I had to wear my Batman shirt tonight. You want to know why he's Batman? Because bats scare him the most. How cool is that? I think that's really cool. And we're going to come back to that later. But guys, fear is one of those things that we need. Okay, look, I'm not going to poo-poo fear, okay? I'm not one of these guys that go, oh, you just need to get rid of fear. Just move on. No, bullshit. Look, fear is there to keep us alive. Seriously, fear has kept some really good men and women alive. Yeah, the example I used in the podcast is, look, if you happen to go into a house fire and you're on your knees crawling around and the floor feels a bit spongy, that's a good time to feel fear. Would you like to know why? Well, because more than likely the seat of the fire is directly underneath you. And you know what? It's just a matter of time before that floor opens up and swallows you whole. This is a time that you seriously want to use fear. Now, the reason why you use fear is because it injects this adrenaline into your body, right? And basically turns you into a superhero. Yeah, it does. You know, you hear these stories about moms lifting up Buicks when their kids are underneath. Yeah, that's what adrenaline will do for you. They don't cover the part that the mom's in the hospital for 3 days because every tendon in her arm and leg are busted. The fact is that as adrenaline gets pumped into you, which gives you the superhero power to get the hell out of a situation that might possibly kill you. Another great example, let's say you go for an evening swim in the Atlantic Ocean. I have no idea why you would do this, but 7:30, 8 o'clock, beautiful time of night, sun's starting to go down, but as you're swimming your laps out in the ocean, you get a weird feeling in your stomach. When you turn around, you see a 4-foot dorsal fin racing towards you. This is a time you want to utilize fear. Yes, more than likely you will shit your pants and look like an octopus, and then you will proceed to get up on top of the water and run your ass back to the beach. That's what adrenaline will do for you every single time. The benefits are incredible for fear. So guys, I don't want to tell you for a second to get rid of it. The problem is when PTSD, depression, or anxiety gets invited to the party, well, it messes with the wiring in your head. That's right. So all of a sudden, normal day-to-day stuff can actually feel this frightening. Stay with me on this one. All right, look, I know, tough tits wag it over here, right? Oh, I'm never afraid. No, I was just uncomfortable. I didn't like going out. Look, there were definitely times that I felt the cold hand of fear. All right, and trust me, this will wake you up faster than anything. Look, here's a great story. Me and a couple of buddies from work got some Van Halen tickets in Buffalo. You know who was opening for him? Kool and the Gang. Well, I had to go down there and celebrate good times. I had to. So me and 3 of my buddies jumped in a car and we raced to Buffalo. It was like the ending scene out of Dazed and Confused. It was a fantastic time. But the fact is, I get down there and I'll tell you what, we're checking into the hotel and look, I knew nothing about PTSD, depression, or anxiety at the time. I knew nothing about this. But all of a sudden I felt this fear. Like it was incredible. Remember that surge of adrenaline that I was talking about? Yeah, well, I feel this. And it's to the tune of, I turn to my buddy and go, look, I don't know what's going on, buddy, but I feel really freaked out. Now, look, you've got to understand, the guys that I was with, okay, look, if there was any problem, these were 3 very handy lads. Oh, no problems, right? I mean, if there was any kind of threatening situation, trust me, we would have been able to handle ourselves. But the fact of the matter was, I couldn't escape this feeling of fear. And what I found out that day is the scariest thing in the world is being afraid, but not knowing what you're scared of. That's petrifying. The other time I had this happen was a blues festival. Jackie's daughter, Charlotte, she is gifted on a guitar. No joke. She can play any song you think of. It's incredible. So anyways, she's playing in this blues festival. I'm not a big blues fan, but hey, listen, if Charlotte's playing, I'm going, right? So it's one of these, a Saturday afternoon, 3:30 in the afternoon, beautiful day in June, the white fluffy Simpson clouds in the sky, all that shit, right? And it's an outdoor tent. There's got to be about 300 people in this tent, right? And they've got the stage set up. There's beers being flown. You know what? Everybody's having a great time. Well, when I sit in this tent, buddy, the sweat is coming off me. I'm that scared. I have no idea why. I remember Jackie turning to me and going, look, are you okay? I go, yeah, I am. I can't figure out what the hell's going on. And the problem is when you feel this sort of fear, you feel like you should react. You should do something. But the problem is the information that you're seeing isn't justifying the fear that you feel inside. So the problem is when a brain really gets confused like this, like I said, you're not only just fighting PTSD now, or depression, or anxiety. Guys, you're going toe-to-toe with fear. Okay? And that is a worthy competitor. And the interesting thing about this is it's not like you're sat in your house and Freddy Krueger and Jason and Michael comes through the window and that little bastard Chucky has a go at you. No, it's not like anybody else is scaring you. This is you scaring you. You understand? And the purpose of this is to scare you enough to get you out of the situation you're in. Think about that for a second. Your brain's not playing around. This isn't a joke. Right? It's not seeing if it can frighten you or, ooh, spooky, scary. No, it's actually ejecting adrenaline into you to actually stand up and make you move. So imagine if you were sat in a situation and somebody came up and injected you with adrenaline. Whoa! Can you imagine? I mean, why don't you just drop a hit of acid in their drink and see what happens? I mean, it's a terrible situation, but this is what some people feel. And if they don't know what's going on with their brain, guys, this is double afraid. Okay, look. One of the biggest problems with fear that I find anyways. Oh, I gotta have a drink. You know what? I had my Hawaiian pizza tonight. That's right, with pineapple. I'm all dry tonight, so you'll have to excuse me. I'll have another one. Okay, so what were we talking about there? Okay, that's right. The biggest problem with fear is you can't ignore it. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's absolutely petrified, you can't go up to them and go, all right, that's enough. This is silly. Stop it. Let's get some courage here. Calm down. Blah, blah, blah. Right? You can't do that, right? Now, look, if you're in a certain division of the military or maybe you're on SWAT or police, look, there's certain training out there that will help an individual absorb fear, okay, and learn how to deal with it. But guys, if you haven't had this training, trust me, fear will knock you directly on your ass every single time. The one time that I really felt this in my life really had nothing to do with the PTSD, but it was when I went through my separation. And I use this situation because a lot of people have been through this, right? Now, when you go through a separation, there's obviously the embarrassments of a failed relationship. Okay, that's a lot to deal with, right? You know, whether you're explaining to your kids or your parents or friends or whatever. But the fact is, divorce brings a lot of uncertainty, right? That's exactly what it does. Now, the thing that I found that really frightened me was basic stuff. Like I didn't know where I was going to live. You know, I didn't know where my kids were going to go to school. I didn't know where my kids were going to live. You know, I didn't know how I was going to survive. There was all these fears that just came to seem piling on to me, and there was no way around it. Now, the interesting thing is when you live with that amount of fear, it's really hard to make a move. You know, I think that's the essence of a deer in the headlights. If you get really that scared, you kind of freeze because you don't want to make a mistake. It's like, holy shit, I don't want to make a move because if I make a move, I'm going to get slapped again. And really, this is a time that you should be making a move more than anything. And I remember those days when I felt that kind of fear, that there were actually days I woke up and went, okay, look, I don't want to play anymore. Okay, make the bad man stop. However I can make all this uncertainty in my life stop, please do it because I want to quit. Like, stop the ride, I want to get off right now. And nobody likes feeling like this, especially if they don't understand what the hell's going on. The problem is with this level of fear, if you are apt to this, is it's not something you can hide from your family. Okay, and that's hard to take when your family can see that fear on your face. It doesn't matter how much you're hiding it. Look, let's get away from the separation for a bit and get back to the PTSD, depression, anxiety. Look, I remember when I was in this house and, you know, speaking about fear on your face, I remember it was a beautiful fall day. Yeah, oh, gorgeous. You know, one of those summer days, but it's in the fall? Yeah, well, anyways, the fall fair was on. Jackie and the kids came in and said, hey, Carl, let's go to the fall fair. It'll be fun. They got lots of food there. And I went, oh, fall fair. A lot of people there. Yeah, walking all over the place. Can't keep track of them. Yeah, no, it's a very busy place. But hey, if everybody wants to go to the fall fair, I'm in. Let me just grab my jacket. Well, the problem is that everybody in the house can see that I'm just putting on a brave smile, right? And that's a downer, right? It is. It's a downer. I don't like the way they feel that they're pushing me and borders. But anyways, it's all messed up. The fact is that they can see the fear on my face, and this is something that I don't like. So guys, like I said, you can't just simply get rid of fear. Okay, that's stupid. It's a silly statement, right? I mean, okay, yes, you can say it, but the fact is, when the rubber really meets the road and you do get shit scared, you're not just going to forget about that fear. But what I want to do tonight is I want to help you look at fear a little bit differently. Yeah, I do. Because I think if you start to look at this fear a little bit differently, guys, this is when you can really start to overcome it. Yeah. Now, a really, really smart man once said that, look, if you're not going to get rid of fear, at least use it, right? Because, look, we all know how powerful fear is. Fear can bring a person to their knees. Fear can absolutely break somebody. So the thing is there is a ton of power when it comes to fear. So the thing is, guys, is we want to use that. Because the problem is if we don't use that power that fear throws at us, trust me, fear's going to use us. And I think we've all felt that. When fear gets us pinned down and we don't want to move, right? So let me explain to you what I mean by using fear. Now, look, probably one of the darkest times for me was when I went off work. Yeah, this was hard. Because, look, I think we can kind of understand that nobody just has one bad dream or one bad night and contacts a doctor and then goes off with PTSD. Look, maybe in 20 years they'll do that, and that'll be great if they can do that once they move along. But right now, look, there are people out there that suffer with PTSD, depression, anxiety for a year, 2 years, 5 years, shit, 20 years they suffer with it before they ever kind of tap out, for lack of a better term, and say, this is fucked. I'm not living like this anymore. Look, I don't care about stigma. Call me whatever the hell you want. I'm sick of living like this. So when people get to that stage, trust me, it doesn't happen right away, and this was kind of the case for me. So look, when I went off work, I was back to the whole uncertainty thing again, wasn't I? Because at the time, holy shit, I was floating in space. I didn't know what the hell was going on. For one thing, I didn't even believe what I had. Right? And now that I'm off work, I was just I was just wandering around the house. And guys, you got to remember something. I hadn't been off work since I was 16. Okay, so this was a really, really strange feeling to be off work. And you know what? 1 minute I'm at work, and then the next minute I disappear. I'm gone, like a fart in the wind, right? So look, I've been in the fire service long enough to know that when somebody disappears, people start talking. Like, I mean, there's just no way around it, right? Or so my brain is telling me at the time, which is very, very difficult. So I think the biggest problem that I had with that stage when I first went off work was I couldn't function the way I wanted to, right? And that pissed me off. I didn't like that, right? Because as far as I was concerned, I was finally getting to a stage in my life where, I was starting to get more and more comfortable at work. And you know what? I started to understand the job. I had my acting captain stripes. There was a ranking coming up. And now all of a sudden, it's gone. All the work that I put in for the past 15 years, my integrity is flushed. You know what I mean? It's gone. And that level of frustration is devastating. And I think the thing that really bothered me the most was it was a look on my kid's face. Yeah, and I'm not hating on him for it. I mean, please, I'm not mad at him, but holy shit, like let's be serious, okay? At the time I'm like 40 or 41 years old, okay? All due respects, somewhat healthy, right? Okay, I obviously could have lost a little bit of weight, but I'm fairly healthy, and now I'm sat at home, right? And nobody's talking about it. So look, whether you know what's going on with me or not, you're going to start making shit up, right? And the thing is that drove me nuts when I used to see my kids looking at me with pity. Because poor dad, he's having problems right now. And that drove me insane. Trust me, I hated that. There's really no other word for it. And obviously I couldn't turn to my kids and say, stop showing pity, please. Because the fact was I was at home. There's no denying the facts that were happening around me. This was something I couldn't shake, right? And I know it's wrong to say it. I get this, right? But the thing is, I'm the dad, right? So look, when trouble comes to the house, I'm the one on the front porch meeting it, not the guy hiding behind the couch terrified like a coward. And the problem was, as far as I was concerned, that's how I was starting to be seen. That bothered me more than the PTSD, depression, anxiety, stigma, anything. The fact that my kids no longer thought I was strong enough to handle this. And I'll tell you what, when I started hating this situation, ladies and gentlemen, that's when everything changed. Right there. All of a sudden, I turned a corner. Yeah, very, very strange. Because what I started to find out was I went from walking around the house kind of scared of what's happening to me and, not really sure to all of a sudden being pissed off about the situation that I am locked in this house. So all of a sudden, I came to the conclusion that, you know what? I'm more afraid of staying like this for the rest of my life. I'm more afraid of having my kids look at me with that level of pity than whatever the hell it is that's frightening me. Seriously, I've had enough of it. I was at the stage there where, you know what, if I felt like I walked out the door, I was going to have a panic attack and my heart was going to blow up. But fuck it, I was ready for it. Like, you know what, I was honest to God, I got to that point where I refused to live on my knees. I've had it. You know what, I'd rather be dead than live like that. And guys, the second that you do that, that's when you start using fear. That's when it works. When all of a sudden you are so pissed off and afraid of staying in the situation you're in, then going out and pushing the borders that you need to, guys, that's when we start getting the power back. Seriously, this is when everything changes. Now, please don't get me wrong. This is an incredibly uncomfortable situation to be put in. No joke. This is not fun because literally you are between a rock and a hard-on. That's exactly where you are. You're scared of going outside, but you're too damn scared to stay here. So you know what? This is when the situation completely changes because you start fighting back. Yeah, you do. Because now you're starting to use that fear, right? And once that stuff starts to happen, you realize that, you know what? I can take this thing that's scaring the shit out of me and I can make sure this never fucking happens to me again. Seriously, regardless of what it is. And as soon as you start getting that mentality of, look, I don't know if this PTSD, depression, anxiety is curable, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to push it as far as I fucking can. I know that much. Yes, that's when you really start ramping up. And you start to realize that, hey, wait a tick, I can push back about this. I can push back against this, sorry. You want to know another fun fact about fear? I'd love to share this one with you. You see, the thing is that when you take something that you're fearful of, okay, on the other side of that fear is a person that you've always wanted to be. Think about this for a second. I want you to think about a fear that you have in your life. Now imagine if you overcame that, and not only overcame it, but you dominated it. What would your life look like after that? Right? Look, let's take public speaking. Apparently that's the #1 fear on the planet. Over death. Silly buggers, if you ask me. But the fact is that's where it is. Okay, awesome, great. So let's say you get chosen to give a talk about a subject that you're very, very passionate about, but you're terrified to go on stage. Okay, look, why don't we take that situation and say, okay, I am more terrified of bombing my message on that stage than I am of actually going up and talking in front of the people. So all of a sudden your mentality changes and you're like, well, I gotta practice. So what do? You practice 3 times a week. Yeah, not only that, you stand in front of the mirror with a brush as a microphone. Bugger it. You know what? You go through the routines. You work it and you work it and you work it and you work it. And even though you're terrified of standing up on stage, like I said, you're using the fear of bombing. So you know what? This is giving you an extra umph. So obviously you go up on the stage. You've been practicing it for 3 months. You absolutely rock it. It's a standing O. Now tell me something. What's your life like after that? Different, isn't it? Now, listen, you want me to get you even more excited about this fear? Well, look, as soon as you overcome a fear like that, you know what your mind does? What else am I afraid of? So you start reevaluating all the shit that you're afraid of in your life. And you're like, well, hold on, wait a tick. How afraid am I of that? Hey, you know that big bully at work? Yeah. Hey, asshole, I want to talk to you for a second. Yeah, you dick nose, get over here. All of a sudden, you're not afraid of this stuff because you know that you're 10 times more afraid of staying afraid than you are. You're 10 times more afraid of being afraid for the rest of your life than whatever that bully is going to do to you or whatever that fear is going to do to you. Guys, once you start to utilize this system, it is going to do incredible things for your life for the simple reason, guys, the only thing that stops us in life is fears. That's really it. Now, look, I'm not saying for a second after you knock it out of the park with public speaking that you should go swimming with great white sharks. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Please, as always, fear is there for a reason. It's to keep us alive. But the really, really fascinating thing about this is it puts that fear gauge back in check again, you know? So all of a sudden, look, the stuff that is actually really scary stays scary. And the shit like going to the mall or maybe going to the fall fair with your family, that doesn't seem as scary anymore. And once you start to get that in check, that's when we stop having these adrenaline dumps into our body, right? You see, it's the adrenaline that really, really ramps everything up to the point that the fear is uncomprehendable because your body feels different. You know, you can be afraid, you can have a bad memory, but what happens when your body's reacting to it? Yeah, very, very peculiar. And guys, look, let me leave you with this little bit here. Look, if you have somebody in your life that is having problems as far as their confidence is concerned, like let's say maybe a teenager or a spouse or a coworker or whatever, look, a surefire way to boost somebody's self-confidence is to show them how to accomplish something they don't know how to do. Because once a human being overcomes something that they didn't think they could do, automatically it ups their odds against going against the next fearful thing. And it's the piggyback situation. Yeah. Now, can you imagine living a life that's truly fearless? Like, seriously, think about it. I mean, obviously respecting the fears that we have in life, right? But the silly fears that we have, well, we can recognize them. Guys, this is an incredible power when you start using fear. And like I said, I had to put my Batman shirt on because that's why Batman is called Batman. Because bats are what he fears the most. Oh, I think that's the coolest line. But you know, let me leave you with this part, guys. If you have PTSD, depression, or anxiety, look, nobody's going to hate on you if you stay afraid for the rest of your life. They're not. They're going to fully understand. Look, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, you might have had some real problems. But in today's society, look, people are starting to understand the whole mental health thing, and they're not going to hate on you. The thing is that you have to decide that you've had enough. Right? You have to decide that, okay, this fear that I feel, whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to use it. And look, I'm not just talking about PTSD, depression, anxiety. I'm talking about anything that life brings us that frightens us when we know we shouldn't be afraid of it. Once we learn how to use the fear instead of letting it use us, guys, this is when we really start to push against stuff. And you'll notice that people that start overcoming fears, they become unstoppable. Yeah. And guys, this is why I absolutely love getting emails from people when they say, look, I've done something that I didn't think I could accomplish. Because guys, this is the greatest currency I can possibly get. When I hear about people pushing borders that they didn't think they could push. Because as soon as they do that, they learn how to use fear. And once you learn how to do that, guys, you don't have to understand every situation. You just have to understand how to use that fear. And as soon as fear shows up and tries to scare you, well, you can turn it around and slap at one right in the back of the head. Why not? What a pain in the ass it can be. Because I'll tell you, this fear thing, it's ruined enough lives. And I truly think that it's time that we understand the gray matter enough that we can start using this power for good. Yeah, instead of evil. Because I'll tell you, the whole dark side, it gobbles up that fear. But once you start to learn how to use it, it's incredible what you can do and what you can accomplish. How's my time doing? Oh, shit. 10 o'clock. Half an hour. Oh, God. There I go. I'll tell you, I'm an absolute mess. Okay, so look, next week, let me tell you what I got for you because I'm really excited about this. Look, you know how I'm always going on about the doctors, right? Oh, you got to have a doctor, got to have a therapist. Well, look, guys, there's some people out there that don't have access to it. Like, seriously, either geographically or they just don't have the money to do it. The fact of the matter is that a doctor is not on the table. And maybe a doctor is on the table. Maybe they can get to one. But maybe they realize it's career suicide. Yes, and if they ask for any kind of help in any way, shape, or form, it could be the end of their career. So the problem is that they're just not ready to ask for help yet. So look, I'm not going to bang the whole drum of, you got to ask for help, because look, I know it's unrealistic. So what I've got for you next week are 3 things that I really think can help with PTSD, depression, and anxiety if you're not ready to go to a doctor yet. Because guys, if you're not ready to go for a doctor, or if you're not ready to go to a doctor or a therapist for whatever reason, guys, I don't want to leave you out in the cold. That's not cool at all. So guys, I'm really looking forward to that next week. I'll have that podcast for you first thing Sunday morning. And obviously, the Facebook Live shows will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week, 9:30 Eastern Time. Guys, quick announcement before I let you go. I'm on the radio again next week. That's right. Mark your calendars. Next Thursday, you know what? My good buddy down in Florida, Tiffany, she's got a radio station down there. She's got a radio show down there called Moments of Clarity. She gave me a dingle last night on the phone, said, hey, Carl, what are you doing next Thursday? I said, I'm on your radio show. She said, perfect. So look, I'm going to throw the link up next week. You guys can check it out. You know what? I think we're talking about resolutions. Maybe we're going to get into all kinds of fun stuff like that. So if you get a chance, we're at drive time, noon till 1 in the afternoon. Ooh, I'm excited about it. So you guys may want to check that out. Guys, what else have I got for you? I think that's it. Shit. you know what, I look forward to this all night, and now it's over. It's the fastest half an hour of the day. I don't know how that works. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you tonight. I do hope you enjoyed the show. So like I said, guys, once you start to understand the brain, guys, this is when we can really start knocking back against shit that's really doing a number on us. Remember those three things. Always goes from pain towards pleasure. Big one there. Remember that. Next one, patterns. Guys, have a look at your patterns. I know this is a painful thing to do, but I'll tell you what, if we can start to change them, remember, good patterns, good life. Bad patterns, shitty life. Nobody wants it. Not only that, guys, remember, the brain stays in the now. You got to understand that. Once you understand your brain stays in the now, this is when you can start negotiating to say, look, I understand we're not happy, but we're going to get through it. I.e., working out, quitting drinking, quitting smoking, whatever, right? So guys, finishing it up with fear, I invite you to take a look at this because I'll tell you, it took me quite a while to do this. I'm not saying this for a second that, you know what, I knew how to do this right out of the gates, but I'll tell you, when you get to that stage that you're pissed off and you're fed up with the life that you're living, that's when you can seriously start using fear. Like my buddy Bruce Wayne. That's what he did. He used the thing that scared him the most, and it cleaned up Gotham. Gotham. Terrible. That's what happens after half an hour. Gotham. I can't believe I screwed that up. Anyways, listen, you guys take care of yourself. I'm going to grab myself a soda pop. I'll jump back in the comment sections here in a bit. And guys, enjoy your weekend. Go out there, get in trouble. Hey, respect fear, but don't let it own you. There you have it. That's all I've got for you. I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care, guys.